Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 7 of the Gus and Dave podcast. I'm Gus, that's Dave. Welcome back for another week 7. Feels like we just started up this podcast. Thank you guys for following along each and every week. In this podcast, we're going to be going over, obviously, NFL. There's been certain transactions that have taken place already this offseason that we're going to touch on. Then we're going to hop into our hoops news, touch on the NBA a little bit. There's been some breaking news today that had just come out about a certain player. And then also go into college basketball, talk about some of the picks we made last week, and kind of talk about this weekend as well with rivalry weekend, and then head right into our good dude and bad dude of the week to wrap up this episode. But like I was saying before, thank you guys so much for tuning in each and every week. And yeah, let's get right into it.
Gus, this past week we just had the NFL Combine. I don't know if you tuned into much of that, but the big stat I saw was that this was the fastest combine ever. And by fast, I
Wow.
mean by 40-yard dash times. Every single position group besides the quarterback was ranked number one of all time for their 40-yard times. So got a fast class coming in, man.
Very speedy class coming up.
Yeah, it's gonna be
This is
electric seeing
exciting.
some guys on the both sides of the ball being able to run them down. But I don't watch a combine. I don't pay too much close attention to it. So I don't got nothing on it. If you don't got nothing on it, let's skip right on over to that. But we have had some major releases happening this past week. Few to name. We have Marshawn Lattimore released by the Commanders. Stephon Diggs released by the Pats. Kyler Murray released by the Cardinals. That's a big one. Those are the three big ones I had. Do you have any others that you saw?
No, those are the three probably biggest ones from this past week for sure.
Yeah, that Kyler Murray one. I mean, that's very interesting. I think especially for you. I mean, he could be a Dolphin by the end of the. Who knows? But
Who
any
knows?
what teams you think that these guys might be landing to, or what teams looking for them?
Kyler Murray specifically, I think that you obviously pointed out a very intriguing team, that my Miami Dolphins. We're without a quarterback right now. I think this past week it was pretty much confirmed that the Dolphins are going to be releasing Tua when the time comes. I believe it's in a few weeks or in June. I don't know what the exact dates are because we could,
Yeah,
I think, make up that money if we wait a little bit later into June. So he's gone. We're going to be stuck with Quinn Ewers if we don't, go out and sign a Kyler Murray or a Malik Willis as well. He's also another free agent out there that I've been looking at. But I would love Kyler Murray. I know he's still a young quarterback. He kind of fits the mold of this kind of generation's quarterback. A scramble out of the pocket, can chuck it, 50 yards downfield on the money. I wouldn't be too mad at that. But I really can't think of any other teams right now that would want Kyler Murray. Maybe some of the teams like the Raiders could go out and grab him and then grab, a defensive stud with the first overall pick, but I doubt that happens. Maybe even with the Jets, if they don't want to get, well, Dante Moore actually is going back to school, so I don't really know what kind of position they're in a quarterback room because they just did give Justin Fields all this money last offseason. But the Jets are another team that could definitely land Kyler Murray for sure.
yeah. I think he's a very valuable piece that's going to be available for any team that's looking for that quarterback. The one that kind of out of these few that I named, that the released players that stuck out to me is Stephon Diggs. I mean, he had some off the field troubles that came like in light right before the Super Bowl. I don't know how relevant that is to this release, but I'm thinking that this is paving the way for AJ Brown to come to the New England Patriots. I think that they're getting rid of their one-star receiver. Then maybe a big contract, maybe off the field trouble is made. I mean, he's also getting older. He's out of his prime now. So why not bring in the disgruntled, the angry AJ Brown from Philadelphia Eagles, trade away something or make a deal work to where you got a young guy in Drake May, you got a guy in his prime, a big, heavy receiver like AJ Brown, and link him back up with his old coach at Tennessee with Mike Vrabel. Gus, what do you think about that one?
I mean, I totally agree. I think I saw something like that earlier on my social media feed, and I think that's a great fit. Like you said, Mike Rabel and him in Tennessee earlier in his career, and that's where he really. I mean, he obviously thrived with the Eagles, but he didn't become this huge wide receiver or bigger with stats and all this other stuff to get traded to Philly without Mike Rabel being his coach. I think that would be a great fit. I don't believe they have their first round pick. They might, and if they do, it's going to be in the late 30s since they did go to the Super Bowl. But I think that's a really good fit. And I think that the culture the Patriots are kind of building over there is they're not going to let that kind of stuff that Stephon Diggs, let happen off the field happen with AJ Brown. He'll be more locked in than ever, trying to prove all the, haters wrong and the analysts wrong that have been, really degrading him and his entire career so far, just this past season because, he did come out and express how he feels about the offense, about the team when he was in Philadelphia. But if he does move to New England, I think it'd be a great move.
Yeah. And then that last one that we named, Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, this guy's a bum, man. As a Skins fan, Commanders fan, I don't see a team picking this guy up unless he's taking the vet minimum. He's coming off that ACL injury. I had high hopes from him when we traded away a couple picks from him. I mean, that's a whole 2 seasons now, almost a season and a half ago. I mean, he was looking promising. I mean, he just had a great career with the Saints. We're like, oh man, we got our cornerback one, and man, he did not pan out. I backed him for so long. Me and Brick backed him against you a couple times at the college
Definitely.
apartment. I mean, he didn't turn out what we wanted to, so I'm glad we're moving on from him. We're saving that cap space. I don't know what team's going to take a aging, old, injury prone ACL recovery corner. I don't know if you got any teams in mind that like that.
I mean, you never really know with some of these teams. I mean, the first team that kind of popped to my mind is the Baltimore Ravens. They're in desperate need of any kind of secondary help, and I mean, he is coming off an injury, Marshawn Lattimore, but that secondary is really really lackluster, especially from this past season. And if he can go to a team that doesn't really have that good of a defense, maybe even the Buffalo Bills, a contender that just needs, a corner, two or three, just some kind of depth that can kind of come in and give a veteran's presence just to the entire locker room. I think any kind of playoff team would definitely want that in their locker room.
For sure. That's understandable. But let's move on to these. We had three kind of big trades happen over this last week. And as more trades and more releases get brought up, we would definitely bring them up on the pod for next episode or just on the Instagram. But one of the big trades happened, I think either today or yesterday. It was DJ Moore. He's getting sent to the Bills. It's DJ Moore, a 2026 fifth round going to the Bills, and the Bears are receiving the 2026 second round pick from the Bills. So because what kind of like implications does this have on? Is it a win for the both teams? Win for either side? What do you think?
I think it's definitely a win for either side. The Bears getting a second round pick. It's not like there's bums in the second round. You could definitely go out and get a very, very solid player, whether it's on offense or defense, in the second round. So I think that's definitely a win for the Bears. And for the Bills, I mean, they really don't have any weapons besides Khalil Shakir. I know their tight end room is very deep with Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid, and obviously James Cook in the backfield, but they definitely needed another, deep threat outside there. Khalil Shakir, obviously, and maybe DJ Moore can come in and kind of teach Keon Coleman some of the ways that to become a better receiver in the league. But I think it's definitely a win for both sides. And the Bears do already have Romo Dunze and Luther Burden, both wide receivers for the Bears right now. So I think it's a win for both sides.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I was going to mention that last part if you did that Luther Burden and Roma Dunze duo. So this was kind of their. I think Luther was more the third option on that team when DJ Moore and Rome were there, but now it's going to be a 1-2 punch with those two young guys. I mean, and you have young quarterback in Caleb Williams. So win for both sides. I think they both got what they wanted and pretty fair trade all around.
Definitely.
The trade that we saw earlier this week, it was kind of a shocker. I think either yesterday or the day before, it involved a first round pick. It was included. Trent McDuffie is going to the Rams, and the Chiefs are receiving back for this the 2026 first round pick of the Rams, which is pick 29. So now the Chiefs have two first round picks this year, a 2026 fifth round and a sixth round pick, and then a 2027 third round pick. So the Chiefs are kind of getting a big haul for Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie, he's an all pro. He's a great defensive player out there. But they're receiving a bunch. And I mean, we mentioned last pod that Pat Mahomes restructured his contract. So I mean, is this a way of the Chiefs are now going towards let's look toward the future? We're kind of out of our prime right now. Let's get Mahomes back and healthy and then rebuild the team. What do you think?
I definitely, on paper, it definitely doesn't look like it looks like that the Rams gave up a whole bunch for Trent McDuffie, and I believe he is on an expiring contract at the end of this season. But the Rams draft capital this year, especially in the first round, I mean, they have another pick, and it's the 13th overall pick from the Atlanta Falcons. So they didn't really lose much trading away, their later first round pick. And like I said before, you're not just going to draft the bums aren't just going to, drop that far. You're definitely going to get a great player, regardless if it's the first or second round. But the Rams are receiving an all-pro cornerback, which, they lost by 4 points in the NFC Championship game, and now you're adding an all-pro corner to that great defense.
Yeah.
So I think it's a win for both sides. Obviously, like you said, the Chiefs are probably looking to rebuild this year. I'm not too sure when Patrick Mahomes is supposed to come back, but they're probably going to keep him, as sideline most as possible, just so he can come back fully healthy and be the Patrick Mahomes that we all know him to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then the last big trade that we've seen is David Montgomery is going to the Texans, and this one caught me by surprise. I kind of saw this on the rumor mill that somebody leaked that Montgomery wanted a trade, and he actually came out himself on Twitter and said, "Who told you this?" as a way of saying that it's not true, it's not coming out. And then I believe the next day he got traded, so probably was true. Montgomery, you didn't cover your tracks well, but David Montgomery went to the Texans and the Lions received back a fourth round, a seventh round, and then an offensive lineman named Juice Scruggs. Hopefully, Juice Scruggs is a baller. Never heard of him. I apologize to you, Mr. Scruggs, but I mean that backfield now is opened up. That's going to be, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs draft stock in fantasy football just absolutely skyrocketed. This guy was the 101 running back with a running back duo, and now he's by himself for the most part that we know of. I mean, they might get out a guy to put in when he's retired. But Gus, what do you think of this trade?
I think I think I really don't know about this trade, honestly. Texans obviously needed a running back. I'm not too sure what Joe Mixon's health concerns are because it was all this, nonsense about him coming back, 4 weeks into the season and then a few weeks after that. And then obviously he didn't really touch the field at all last year. And they had to go to Woody Marks, for the entire season, which, isn't a very, reliable option when it comes to a running back in this league. But I think bringing in David Montgomery for the Texans is good. I don't think it's, anything crazy, but I hate to see that duo get, torn apart. Sonic and Knuckles in Detroit. They had a few great years together, and it wasn't like they were, bashing heads for snaps. They were looked like they were like best friends on and off the field. So just kind of seeing that, you know, taken apart is kind of upsetting. But I think it's an all right trade for both sides, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm personally bummed about this because in my personal keeper fantasy league, I had Woody Marks and he was going to be maybe an
Uh,
option I was thinking of keeping, but now with Montgomery coming in, that's not looking too good.
that's not the case.
That's all the trades and releases news I had in NFL. Gus, do you have anything you want to touch on? Any other
I
news?
believe that was it from this past week at least. Like Dave said earlier, we'll definitely fill you guys in on future trades and releases that are coming up in the near future. But that's all I have for right now.
All right. Well, with that, we're gonna jump right into our hoops news, a little NBA, a little college basketball.
All right, let's hop right into our hoops news from this past week, and we're gonna start off with the NBA. We're in the part of the season where it's almost the playoffs. A lot of these games do matter, but we had some breaking news this morning coming from my Boston Celtics that Jason Tatum will be returning sometime this weekend. Celtics play at home against the Dallas Mavericks on Friday, and boy, am I excited. I've been waiting for this ever since he fell in game 4 against the Knicks, I believe, last year in the Eastern semis. Um, 2 minutes, 58 seconds left to go. Man, that hurt.
Got it
That,
down at the time.
oh man, that was, it's engraved in my head right now, man. It's
That's fair.
engraved that whole sequence of events. Um, but yeah, I'm super thrilled to see our superstar back in the lineup. I've been also hearing that he could maybe, come in and affect the lineup in a negative way, which, I fully just totally disagree with. We're talking about a top 5 player in the NBA when he's healthy, 6 or 7 time All-NBA player, an All-Star almost every year he's been in the league, an NBA champion. I mean, doesn't really get better than that. Just had to let that out there. We'll see when he gets back. I'm not sure what the minutes are going to look like. I wouldn't be surprised if he is on kind of a minutes restriction. It's very normal for a guy coming out of injury, especially when it's as serious as an Achilles, and we do not need that to happen again, especially for the rest of his career. Doesn't matter when. We do not want to see that happen again. But just wanted to point that out that he will be back sometime in the near future, which I am super, super amped up about. But I just wanted to bring up some of the NBA standings right now, since it is, like I said, that part of the season where playoffs are right around the corner. A lot of these games do matter. So I'm just going to kind of go over some of the NBA standings and what kind of stands out to me. Obviously, the Pistons and the Thunder lead both respective conferences. Um, the Pistons are up in the East over 5 games over the Boston Celtics. The East is pretty competitive this year, more competitive than it has been in the past. Um, the 10 seed Hawks are only 14 and a half games compared to the Celtics 5. And then compare that to the West. The Portland Trailblazers, who are the 10 seed in the West, are 18 and a half games out of first place compared to the 3.5 Spurs. So there's a little bit more of a majority win differential on both sides. But I also wanted to point out how the 3 seeded Rockets in the Western Conference and the 7 seeded Phoenix Suns are only 3.5 games apart. So there's about 3 or 4 teams, or 4 or 5 teams, I should say, that are only 3.5 games apart. Um, Look for those teams to, switch up seeding wise heading into the playoffs. And that's really all I wanted to point out in the NBA. We'll keep you guys updated with the Jason Tatum news and the current standings, each and every week. And we'll touch on major games or events that had happened in the NBA as well. But that's all I have on the NBA right now. Let's hop right into the college basketball part of Hoops News. Uh, Last week we made some picks on 3 major games that took place. I believe the first one was Michigan State Purdue, took place last Thursday. Michigan State went to Purdue. I believe we both picked Purdue in that game. But I believe we also took Michigan State spread. We didn't think it was going to be a 7.5 point game, and Michigan went to Purdue and pulled out a huge win at Purdue, 76 to 74. I was looking at the stats on this game. The points off turnovers is where I really think this game kind of explains what happened. Michigan State had 19 points off turnovers to produce 5. And even though Michigan State had more turnovers throughout the entire game, they had 9 and Purdue had 6. So I believe that that was really the main turning point in this game, was just points off turnovers. And hopefully that Purdue can kind of fix that heading into championship season. The second game that we talked about last week was Michigan at Illinois. I believe I picked Illinois at home to upset Michigan. I did not come out victorious with that, but Dave, on the other hand, did pick Michigan to win this game. Michigan did end up winning 84 to 70. I mean, this game was a pretty large blowout. They won by 14 away. And Michigan had, the lead for 80% of the game. So pretty dominant victory for Michigan. Give it up for them. And then the last game we had picked from last week, Arizona at Kansas, or Kansas at Arizona, I should say. I'm sorry. Arizona whooped up on Kansas 84 to 61. The free throw differential in this game was absolutely ridiculous. Arizona went 30 of 34 from the line compared to Kansas's 10 of 11. And the rebounding aspect of this game was absolutely one-sided as well. Arizona had 48 boards compared to Kansas's 26 boards. I'm sorry. But and then so I both believe we picked Arizona in that game. So I went 1-2. Dave was 2-1. We'll give the edge to Dave for this past week, I guess. I guess.
Let's go.
But looking forward to this rivalry weekend. A lot of big games coming up. The first one we're going to talk about is this UNC at Duke game. A few weeks back, Duke went to UNC and lost on a buzzer beater 3 by Seth Trimble, and that final score was 71-68 UNC. I believe, UNC going into Duke, we put up or I should say, UNC at home against Duke a few weeks ago, put up a great fight there. Duke's defense is one of the best in the country right now, and offense, honestly. But I'm not going to pick Duke. I'm going to stick with my own team. I'm going to take UNC with the upset at Duke. Dave, what do you got?
You got ahead of yourself. You got a lucky win at home. It's going to be Duke all the way. Duke is going to run him out the gym. Duke by
We shall see. We
Duke by a
shall
million.
see about that. We shall see. Wilson, I should say, is he's going to put on a masterclass show this weekend. I guarantee it. The second game we're going to jump into is Texas Tech at BYU. These two teams also played earlier this year. I believe BYU was at Texas Tech, but this is when Texas Tech had one of their best players, healthy, JT Toppin. Texas Tech did ended up winning that game, 84-71. But BYU has fallen out of the top 25 rankings in the country due to a few losses these past few weeks. Um, I think if BYU wants to get a higher seed in the Big 12, they have to come out and win this game. Texas Tech doesn't have, like I said, one of their best players. AJ DeBansa, of course, he's probably going to go out and play every minute of this game, so they have a better chance of a higher seed in the Big 12, championship bracket. So I'm going to take BYU in this game.
We're going opposite again. I'm taking Texas Tech here. I don't. The BYU's on a 3-game skid, like you mentioned. Texas Tech already beat them at home, but they had their star player in Toppin. I just don't see a world where Texas Tech's going to come to this gym. BYU's, they're not looking good. AJ, like you said, is going to play the whole game, but he ain't going to be enough. He's by himself is not going to be able to do enough to beat this Texas Tech team. Texas Tech with the win again.
All righty. And the last game we're going to be discussing is taking place on Sunday, actually. Michigan State at Michigan. The 3 seed against the 8 seed, or I should say the 8 seed visiting the 3 seed, Michigan. These two teams also played earlier this year. MSU lost at home to Michigan by a score of 83-71. I'm kind of expecting the same outcome in this game. Michigan has been pretty dominant all year long. We saw it last week. We saw it against Duke. They didn't pull off the win, but they can compete with some of the best teams in the country. I think Michigan at home pulls off the win against their arch rival.
That we can agree on. I'm taking Michigan as well. I think they're the 3rd seed. They want to get that number 2 and that number 1 seed going into the tournament, going into conference tournament play, and they're just going to run MSU out of the building. Michigan.
Definitely. Definitely. Like I said, conference championship play is coming up next week. Next episode, we will be discussing who our winners are going to be of some of the major conferences and then some of the conferences that we find more intriguing than others. That's going to come up next week, like I said. But this weekend for college basketball is huge. It's going to be depending a lot on wins and losses and seedings and brackets in their respective conferences. But that'll be coming up next week, and then right after that is we're jumping right into March Madness. So super excited for that. But I believe that's all we have for our hoops news this week. So let's jump right into our last segment of the show, Good Dude, Bad Dude.
All right, time for our good dude and bad dudes of the week. Start with my good dude. Man, I got a coastal guy. Our very own, man, our head basketball coach, Coach Justin Gray. Man, this guy, he came in last season. Team was all right. We did better than what we thought, but we weren't where we needed to be. Man, this year we're coming into the conference tournament. We're ranked number 3 in the Sun Belt. Read off some stats for you about this team. Most regular season wins with 19 since 2014-2015 season. Now I know what you're saying. You power 4 schools, you big schools out there, 19 wins, that ain't nothing. Hey, that's a lot for us, all right? We ain't no basketball school. 19 wins, that's a lot. Most wins in most Sun Belt Conference wins with 11, most true road wins with 10, and most Sun Belt Conference road wins with 7. Man, this guy flipped the program around. He got some good guys in the program, good guys in the team. And now we rank number 3. And we are going through the gauntlet. Hopefully, maybe Gus can put up the gauntlet. What you imagine is the Sun Belt has a crazy tournament structure where if you were ranked number 16, because all the teams make the tournament, but when you're ranked last, you got to go through like 7 rounds just to make the finals. And I know we don't play until Saturday, and we play the winner of South Alabama versus South Alabama has to play the winner of Arkansas State versus Georgia Southern, and then we play the winner of South Alabama versus that winner. So that's going to be Saturday night. I'm going to tune into it, Gus. I hope you tune into it.
Definitely.
To see our Coastal Men's Hoops teams. pull off a miracle run, and then we get that Sun Belt bid to go to the NCAA tournament and upset the number one team in the nation with Coach Justin Gray behind the reins. Come on now.
Let's go. Let's
That
go.
gets me hyped to see that we're good at ball.
That's
And I'm excited
electric.
to watch them.
That's an electric good dude of the week. I'll give you that one, Dave.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My good dude of the week is going to be a team, and it's more of just a shout out and a good luck to them. It's going to be our Team USA World Baseball Classic team. Our team this year is probably one of the best World Baseball Classic teams that we've had over the past 20 years. I think that this format has been used for the World Baseball Classic. Paul Skeens, Aaron Judge, Tarek Skubal, Red Sox own Roman Anthony's out there too. We just played this past week against the San Francisco Giants. We looked awesome. We had a bunch of different players on our bench and our bullpen go out and kind of just show what they got, and we look awesome. So, not a really good dude of the week, but just kind of a shout out and a good luck send off to our boys in the red, white, and blue representing the country. But my bad dude of the week this week is I'm calling this guy out. All right, I'm calling this guy out, particularly where I'm from, the New York area. We've been hurt with or we've been given an awful winter this year, and I think it's been because of one guy specifically, Hung Swatney Phil, the groundhog from Philly or from Pennsylvania as a whole. And I just wanted to let him know that, hey, days are looking better over here already. Snow is melting. Weather's getting better. Sun's coming out more. And I just wanted to call him out specifically because he wished this upon us, and I do not forgive him to this day. So I rest my peace. It's your neck the next time I see you, Phil.
Oh man, that's funny, man. Hopefully he's watching.
Hopefully he is. I hope he is. I hope he is. The knuckle sandwich. Hate that.
You're gonna have a bunch of groundhogs outside your front door in a little bit.
Knocking on my front window. That's how I know I've messed up.
Getting snow this weekend now. No, but that's funny. My bad dude. It's kind of strange out there. I was browsing the web, and as an avid sports fan, I watch First Take. I see sports clips. I see it on my feed, and I just see Stephen A. Smith ranting on and on and on about the New Orleans Pelicans, specifically Zion Williamson and his eating habits. And that's just it's public knowledge. It's out there. Zion, he's not in the best shape. He's looking a little big. I saw he even came out where Stephen A. said that there's inside sources telling him that he was hiding food under his bed. Now, I don't know how true that is.
Oh, no.
I don't know if Zion's hiding food under his bed or where his sources are coming from. And you might think, so Stephen A. is your bad guy. No, we're not going there. I'm backing Stephen A.
Oh.
Not on the hiding food on the bed part, but so Stephen A. is making all these jokes talking about Zion and the Pelicans. And the Pelicans do a 5-minute video on their social media team's platform of Stephen A.'s basketball highlights of him bricking shots left, right, and center, calling him out. And Stephen A. responds, says, I'm gonna talk about y'all on First Take tomorrow. Tune in. Oh boy. So what did I do? I pulled up a chair. I scooted my chair and I watched that First Take. It was Stephen A. went on a 15-minute monologue bashing the Pelicans organization as a whole, bashing the social media team, pulling up clips of him with Lethal Shooter, the shooting specialist, of him draining threes. And I'm just like, hey, he's got a point. The Pelicans are trash. They're trash. I don't know who the organization what boss, what level command did it go to where they said, let me call out the most popular, whether you love him or hate him, the most popular sports analyst or sports taker in the world. So they called him out. Stephen A. shot right back with a 15-minute monologue on live television in front of the entire world, and it made your team look a whole lot worse. I hope Zion's not hiding food under his bed.
Oh man.
But now you're gonna be hiding under your bed because you just got called out. And they, to my knowledge, they haven't responded to him yet. But yeah, my bad dudes at that social media team, whoever gave the green light to post that and get Stephen A. riled up, that's the last thing you want to do.
Oh
You
man.
want to get on Stephen A's bad side because he can pull up clips. He can talk for days.
Oh, he will, and he will for
He
sure.
will. Yeah, that's my bad dude.
That is probably one of the more entertaining good dude, bad dude segments that we've had this year so far.
I would agree.
But I believe that wraps it up for this podcast. Like I said earlier, thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 7. We'll be back next week. And hey, if you made it this far, we are having a special guest on next week. So tune in for
You're gonna
that.
wanna
You will
watch.
not want to miss it. You will not want to miss it.
Not at all.
But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we shall see you next week.